Good morning. You are watching the Mid-Morning Pack. Thank you so much for joining us. This is MBCI TV. You're right on time for this conversation that normally comes every week on every Wednesday, where we unpack weighty issues in the country, trying to make sense of what is happening and also looking for solutions for the things that we are going through as a country. My name is Mangicho Mola. I'm joined by Kagi Paul.
Good morning and welcome to the Mid-Morning Pack. Today, the 28th day of March 2023. As usual, we are here to put more light on issues that has been going on in our country for the last 7 days. Welcome about, don't go too far.
And of course, Kagi, the issues to do with the mass action, the protest, Mandamano. I think this is the main thing.
Yes,
this is actually what is making the headlines across the country.
Right. We are going to discuss at length with our guest this morning regarding to the demonstrations. So just stay tuned.
Yes, and of course, this is a major issue, and of course, we've seen quite a number of things, quite a number of issues people talking about as far as the protests are concerned. We've seen loss of property, we've seen loss of lives, we've seen injuries, and the question that people are asking today, where are we headed as a country? Are we disintegrating slowly by slowly into anarchy? You can tune in for these later on. We'll be able to discuss this. We'll be joined by engineer Victor Ngatia. He's a political and governance analyst. He'll be here to share on this particular subject. And that is our topic, our main topic today, calls for sobriety amid the ongoing protests. How can we have sobriety in the country? How can we have what we can actually call tranquility? Where do we get the consensus as far as this particular case or as far as this particular matter is concerned? That is what we are discussing today. And the question that we are asking you, what advice do you have for President William Ruto and Opposition Chief Raila Odinga in relation to the ongoing protest? What advice as a Kenyan, because you have a responsibility, you have a duty, you cannot just stay behind and watch as things unfold. These are the two main protagonists in this particular issue. So what advice do you have for them? If you are to meet the president today, what would you tell him about this particular protest? What would you discuss with him? If you are to meet the opposition chief, that is Raila Odinga, what word would you have for him? Begin to share your thoughts with us. You can give us a text on our shortcut platform, that is 23814, 23814. You can also catch us live on our social media pages, that is MBCI TV for Facebook, and YouTube, that is MBCI TV Official. As we continue with the discussion, we'll be glad to sample some of your feedback on this particular matter. But of course, we have quite a number of other things that have happened across this particular week, Kagi.
All right, and before we are joined by Engineer Ngatia, we want to do a little bit of flashbacks on what is happening in our country on 1, 2, or 3 issues, and then we are going to deal with the topic of the day. And one thing, Mangicho, before we relook at the issue of demonstrations,
right,
we are aware that the issue of the CAS, the 50 CAS who were appointed by the president to be able to assist CSs to be able to run the ministries, have been given an order not to step into their offices because there was a case that was taken to court by the Law Society of Kenya and also some activists to be able to bar them from operating, declaring that this seat is unconstitutional. And we know that we are waiting for the High Court to be able to rule, or maybe to be able to remove these orders to allow them to continue operating in their offices. But as we are speaking right now, there are several of them who have been assigned some duties to continue, especially in the Ministry of Interior, and also others are still in their offices. But we are still waiting to see whether they are going to be allowed by the High Court to continue operating. And we know some CS's appointees had gone to court to be able to push that they may continue in their operations after the appointment. It's not the first time that this case is coming up. We are aware during Kenyatta's regime, there was a case that was being registered in our courts to declare that the CAS positions are unconstitutional. And we know that the Supreme Court declared this seat unconstitutional.
Yeah, Kagi, that is a very pertinent subject, by the way, because one thing that I've also been asking myself, and I know so many Kenyans are also wondering, what is happening? Because if a court puts that kind of a restraint and orders that they should not get into the offices and that they should not undertake their duties. But actually what we are saying is that the CSSs have already taken their duties. So are we talking about impunity? Is it just disregard for court orders?
I think something like that is happening because it is very prudent for the authority to be able to show some respect to the court rulings. Because if you continue with the culture whereby the court rules on something and then you do contrary, it's a sign of impunity in your operations.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's not a good culture whereby a court rules on something and then you do contrary to that. And sometimes I also ask myself, if today, Mangicho, you have been taken to court and some orders are given that don't do this or do this, and then you do contrary, what happens? You are going to be arrested, and you are going to be maybe charged for maybe going against the court orders. And therefore, I'm wondering why our courts not maybe acting on these issues whereby their orders have not been honored by individuals or maybe authority.
Exactly. I think there are some gaps there that really needs to be looked into. It seems maybe either one of those particular arms is not strong enough because, and of course we know that the judiciary is actually a very weighty and it's a very important what you can actually call instrument or one of the major areas in terms of governance. So when an order like that one is issued and we are seeing a sheer disregard for it, then actually this is a very serious actually setback as far as maybe the rule of law is concerned. And I think this is something that really needs to be looked into because it will actually set a very bad precedence even for others who will actually see a situation like this and they will argue that, of course, we had another scenario or we had a similar scenario where the court ordered that the CSS should not actually get into their duties, but of course we've seen them getting into their duties. So what is wrong with us also doing the same? I think this is an issue that really needs to be looked into, and those who have actually, or those who are found culpable, there should be a way in which they should actually be made to pay for such kind of an offense. Yes,
and last point is that we have to work hard as a country to be able to safeguard the independence of our institutions, be it the judiciary, be it the parliament, or even other institutions that are in place in our country. If you don't safeguard these institutions, then we are going to lose our progress as a country in all areas. Now, we have another issue here, Mangicho, regarding there are some floods which have wreaked havoc in many areas of our country. In the areas of Gilgil, we are informed like around 8 people have already died after they were swept by floods in that area. And even areas like Moyale, we know it's now flooded, and many people have been subjected to homelessness due to these floods. And areas like in Kajiado, whereby these guys experience a massive loss of their livestock or their livelihood, they are experiencing another catastrophe, whereby now again, after coming out of that, they are experiencing floods in that area. And what are the questions is sometimes these catastrophes are always there after some time. What we need to do, somebody was asking yesterday, when we experience these kind of floods, can't we have a mechanism whereby we can be able to come up with ways of harvesting this water? Because some of the things that we can be able to sort out in these areas is to provide water for the animals, and also we can use this water for irrigation. And I think we can look for a way whereby this water can be stored for some time, for the sake of in the days that come, maybe in December, January, February, when there is a drought. Because by the look of things, those months have become now tradition. We experience a serious drought.
Exactly. Very good area there, and a very good, very interesting scenario there. Of course, very disappointing and also very disheartening that some lives have been lost and some livestock have also been lost following the floods that has been witnessed in quite a number of areas in the country, especially those areas that had initially experienced a drought, and now after the drought, the floods are there again, now even sweeping away the few livestock that had already been left behind.
Yes.
And as you've rightly pointed out, Kagi, I think this is a wake-up call to the government, both the national government and also the county governments, to be able to look what is it that needs to be done. Even as we talk about climate change, what is it that needs to be done so that at least we can be able to help the locals from these particular areas if it has to do with things to do maybe with harvesting of water, very, very important. And also to look at maybe what other ways the locals in these particular regions can be helped to sustain their lives, even when maybe we have very long seasons without rains.
Yes, and away from that, Mangicho, we have another issue here which is very, very, very attractive. There's one governor who is doing a good job out there. It's called George Natembeya. He's trying to put things in order in Tranquility County, while you are really handling other issues. Natembeya is trying to make his county to be a county of rule of law. And one of the areas he is very passionate about is to ensure that the Ministry of Land in that county is operating according to law. You know, area of Tranquility is an area whereby the issue of land is very sensitive. It's an area where the country relies on the food basket, especially maize. So Natembeya created a task force to be able to look at some issues. Number one, the issue of the human resource in that county. And they found that there are many people who were employed in that county and they were ghost workers. Number two, he really looked at the issue of land. And one time I think he managed to reveal there was a senior security officer who was using the county's housing and renting them. And the other area is the issue of land. Yesterday, he came to know that there were some many title deeds who were being put in sacks. I don't know where they were being taken to. And these things have really put other people in that county in the wrong path with the governor, especially in the Department of Land. So Natembeya is a good example for other governors. You know, we have the issue of supplies, whereby some guys were given tenders, and he came to understand through the task force, these tenders were not genuinely awarded, others were never awarded, and these guys are really pushing to be paid for something they never did. Yeah,
we can actually say big up there for Governor George Natembeya, Tranquility County.
Yes.
And I think it is it's a very positive, and it's something that is actually very important even to be something that other governors can actually watch so that they can also do the same, because the governors are there so that they can make some changes, so that they can bring development. We want to see changes in our counties, especially in regards to devolution.
Yes.
Thanks so much for that. To this particular juncture, we want to welcome our guest for this particular conversation. On the studio, we are having Engineer Victor Ngati, is a political and governance analyst. Karibu sana, Engineer. Good to see you today.
Asante sana Bwana Mangicho.
Wow.
Asante kwa kunikaribisha.
Karibu sana. And of course,
Should I say hello to the viewers?
Sure, very important.
It's nice to be here once again. And let's discuss. I mean, this is our country.
Exactly.
And make a difference.
Yes, this is our country, and it's our obligation to actually ensure that everything is going on well in this particular country. And of course, Engineer, the main area of discussion, of course, and that is what is making headlines across the country. That is the subject of discussion, and this is what we also want to give a lot of time in today's discussion. But of course, you can pick one or two other issues that we have previously or initially highlighted with Kagi. Yes.
I think the first thing I would want to, from Kagi's pointers, there are two things that are very sensitive, and I think Kenyans should really wonder what the leadership is doing. Number one, we have floods, and very unfortunate, we have lives lost. I'm just wondering, is it a new phenomena in this country that floods will come? I'm just wondering, I'm just asking myself questions. We've had a drought over a period of 4 or 5 months. And
severe drought.
Severe drought, actually. And we had even livestock that we lost due to the drought. And these particular areas are known to be water deficient. There is no water in these areas. But the rains are bound to come. But I didn't see any initiative whatsoever in preparation of harvesting this water in these particular areas. There are particular areas that are blessed and there was water. So I'm just asking the Ministry of Agriculture, or is it the Ministry of Livestock? I'm just county level that is devolved. We couldn't have a way of harvesting this water. These are people in office that we should question and let them answer. Let's not just cry that we lost livestock. Let's not just cry that we lost lives. Floods are bound to happen. Next year, floods will be there. And why do we have floods? We have obstructed the pathway. It's going to happen. So if it's going to happen, what are we going to do about it before it happens? Let's not cry foul. There are people to hold responsible in this country.
And because, engineer, you said, and this is a problem that we've now seen for years, and maybe one would want to wonder, is it misplaced priorities? Is it lack of capacity? Is it lack of resources? Why is action not being taken?
It's just a culture of, it doesn't matter. Really. We have the resource. I mean, why wouldn't we have it done while we have somebody in office? I think it's just, I don't know, I won't call it impunity, because I just want to call it a reckless governance, where you have been given a responsibility to deal with that particular pertinent issue, but you do nothing about it. But you still get your salary. You are there for 5 years. People die. Animals die. Then you go home. You know, I think it's just recklessness, carelessness, the wrong attitude in office. You will still get your salary anyway, whether it happens or not.
You'll not be asked to go home.
You'll not be asked to go home. Over my dead body, I won't go home. It's an attitude problem. And I call it an attitude problem simply because it is not only happening in one area. Maybe the other thing I would touch, and I love the fact that we talked about what Governor Natembeya, kudos and bravo. I mean, that's the kind of thing we want to see. But I want to challenge him further, really. You have done a good job. You have established ghost workers. You have established that we have individuals in your structure that are, you know, are involved in corruption, or whether they are hiding this title deeds for whatever reasons, whether they want to sell the land or they want to make it difficult for the people to get titles for a token. I don't know. But after that, what happens? Because really, it's not the first time we've heard of governors establishing ghost workers. I mean, was it Kisii the other day? We had a whole team at a stadium. Did they tell us how many they established? If you got 1,000 ghost workers, how much are you losing? And how much will that reduce from your budget? I mean, we are mentioning what you're doing. I've established ghost workers, then what?
Then what?
You know, I like what he has done, but I want to hear him tell us, out of the people that work for the county, I've established 500 ghost workers. And this is the amount that they were getting every other month. And this is what we shall deduct from our budget. Secondly, because these people have been getting paid without working for the county, there must be a way of recovery. How will the county recover the lost funds? Thirdly, there are people who are involved in that particular blunder or scandal within the county, and they worked for the county. Can they be held to account? Now, we don't just arbitrarily say we have just found ghost workers.
Ghost workers.
Because it's an attitude, and Kenyans are happy. From what we read, Kenyans are happy. Then what?
Because it has been happening, it has been a recurring issue.
Yes.
Every 5 years.
I mean, even Nakuru, we did something. I don't remember the figures coming out. We had the ghost workers. There was something that was being done in Nakuru County some years back. After we established the ghost workers, Nakuru people don't know how many there were.
I think what we need to do, engineer, is to come up with a good human resource policy when it comes to the employment. And we have the County Public Service Board, which is in charge of all the employees in the county. I think they are the first people to be able to be brought to accountability.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We have people responsible. And if we do not now instill this culture of holding people accountable or holding people responsible of their respective offices, then we are just playing ping pong. I mean, we have somebody in charge of that roster. It's called what? This is for salary. There's that list that pays people.
Okay.
There's somebody in charge. He has added 1,000. I have a department I run, maybe in the county or in the national government. I have 1,000 people below me that I have to approve that they worked in this month. If I did not approve, who approved? And if I approved and they are not employees, then I'm also responsible. I mean, the moment you start the process, it actually stops the other person because we are getting to them.
Okay.
But the culture in this country that is eating and finishing this country is that it doesn't matter. Even if I get, and it's a lot of money. If you look at figures, for example, even if you have 100 people who are drawing every month 50,000 shillings, 50,000
every month,
that is 5 million shillings.
For
You
5
do
years.
that for a whole year is 60 million shillings. If you do that for 5 years,
it's a lot of money.
really, what are we doing?
It's not just enough for especially the new governors, to tell us, but I think there needs to be a follow-up because, again, how sure are we that something like that cannot be repeated
I agree, it will be
with
repeated.
the current governance?
And also we have an issue of, away from the issue of the employees, we have an issue of the tenders in the county, whereby some guys are given tenders or supplies which were never rendered. And you see, they're in the list of check. They want to be paid for something they never delivered. It is very common in our counties. If you hear many governors who are in the office today, they are crying foul regarding to that issue. That we have been forced to pay some people money they never delivered. No supplies were done, but they're in my checklist. They need to be paid millions of money. So I think, as engineer is saying, we need to really start today to be able to stop it tomorrow.
Sure.
Because if they are paid today, they're the same guys who are going to come in the next regime, using the same route.
Exactly.
To be able to supply and to be paid something they never delivered.
Yeah, and I think this is now a trend whereby we are seeing governors complaining of the vices that they have gotten from the previous governors.
Yes.
Okay? And it's now becoming a very, very major challenge because it's like maybe when a particular governor comes, because maybe they know after 10 years, others maybe after 5 years they'll go, they can just maybe do and maybe engage in some malpractice, and they think that they'll just get away with it.
Let me jump in there. This is not a simple problem. From what you've just mentioned, Paul, in terms of people supplying air and demanding for payment, it is a cartel within the system that actually provides these documents, that has a way of confirming that there was, it's called what, companies that were shortlisted, or it confirms all that process that was done, and well, it wasn't, right? So secondly, there is an aspect of these guys getting an LPO, because really you don't give a service or product or supply anything without the local purchase order. Meaning there's a system that provided that document and it was signed, it went through all the stages, meaning it incriminates almost the whole team, because the procedures were basically followed. Thirdly, the moment you say you'd want something done, we should start today. How do we ensure that we elect a governor who will follow through? Or is it easier for us as the public to now start asking questions? Because the moment we don't ask, then these guys have a way of running away. If nobody comes up with the issue of asking about these people, ghost workers, and how much it was, if we don't ask, maybe the governor might never tell us.
Yes, true.
Does that open another gate for him to maybe create his own ghosts? Because nobody asked about the amount of money and where it went. Because it's a huge amount of money. It's a big project. So it is the Kenyans now to realize these people are not elected as angels. Nobody's elected in office as an angel.
As an angel, sure.
I mean, the moment he gets in office, he finds these forces that fight him and push him to a corner. Now, if we don't push them to be accountable, then it's very easy for them to get compromised. Because they don't get compromised by 1,000 shillings.
No.
I mean, this guy is in charge of, for example, if you're talking about Nakuru County, we're talking about 12, 13 billion worth of a budget per year. Even if you did that into half, then you have 6 billion available for this guy to manage. He's a CEO. So 6 billion, even if you hive off 10%, like they say, is a 10% affair. We are talking of almost half a million.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, it's not kidogo money, it's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
So if we don't put them on check and ask questions and deliberately put them on the spot, then there is a possibility that they would actually get compromised in one way or another.
Wow. I think that is fair enough on that particular area. Let's now get into the major highlight of our discussion today, and that is the cause for sobriety amid the ongoing protests. Remember, you can still continue giving us your opinion, and the question that we are asking you, what is your advice to President William Ruto and also opposition chief, that is Raila Odinga, in regards to the ongoing protests? What is your advice to President William Ruto and also to opposition chief, that is Raila Odinga, in regards to the ongoing protests? Continue giving us your reflections on our shortcut platform, that is 23814, and also on our social media pages, that is Facebook MBCI TV, and also YouTube, that is MBCI TV Official. And of course, we'll be glad to also see how you respond to this particular matter. Engineer, of course, this is a major issue. We saw protests last week on Monday.
Yep.
Then
Tomorrow.
Yes, and this week again on Monday. And we're expecting another protest tomorrow. And according to you, do we really need to continue with this protest?
To be very honest, I don't think there is need for protest. But anytime there are protests, there's always a reason. And the government is to blame for the protest at the moment. For example, there was an official communication way before the first protest, and even an extension given of when the protest will begin. And that was a grace period where the government was supposed to have taken action. What are the issues that are being tabled by these people who want to protest? And the fact that the government failed to capture that moment, unfortunately, took us to where we are today, brought us here. The aspect of the government failing to react to a signal that indicated things are not going to be nice brought us here. So protests are here. And the good thing about protest is that they're enshrined in our constitution. They're not illegal. And I love this thing, and I want to insist and hammer it in. We do not need permission to protest. We do not need permission or authorization by any office to stand up and picket. There is no debate about that. It is in the constitution. For us to change that, we have to go for a referendum. But the moment you see a government or a police service that is so committed to ensuring that that provided right is withheld.
Engineer, just hold that thought momentarily. We just want to take a short break right now. Don't go far away. We are coming back with much more with this particular discussion.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Dominion Chapel Ministries International, Goshen Lankisarian, invites you to the King's Daughters 2023. The host, Bishop Peter Mankura and Reverend Sophie Mankura. Guest ministers, Prophetess Winnie Nanga.
Mahali utachokea kwa uombezi is when the devil will destroy your family.
Bishop Josephine Kitonga.
You can be a worker of miracles. You can open blind eyes. But unless you have character.
Pastor Favor Wole, Mam Ada Adoyo, Bishop Sam Monire. Our theme comes from Joel 2:28, and I shall pour my spirit upon all flesh. Save the date, 3rd to 7th April 2023, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily. Revivals 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. Our venue, DCMI Goshenland Kisarian, next to Chief's office, Karibuni.
Pasaka Ibambe na Finels Properties. Tuliahidi na tukatenda.
Majina zangu ni Paul Kennedy, naishi Kaptembo. Within 2 weeks nilikuwa nimepata title deed na mbuzi.
Nikanunua ploti ya 50 by 100 na nikapewa mbuzi 2.
Now, bringing to you Easter offers. Buy a plot of 50 by 100 at 199,000 Kenya shillings. Deposit ya 100,000 Kenya shillings. Pata mbuzi ya Pasaka. All title inclusive. Gilgil Breeze Phase 4. Bigger and better with borehole water on site. Graded roads. The land is ready for farming hash avocados, greenhouses, all crop farming, beekeeping and other farming activities. For Chama's special package, pata plot at 125,000 Kenya shillings. For more information, visit our Nakuru offices at Kenyatta Avenue, Belpa House, above Sidian Bank, first floor, room number 3, or our Nairobi office in Roiro. Call us on 0724 111 110 or call Roiro office on 0742 240 000. Finels Properties, validating your dreams.
Tunga sentensi moja ukitumia neno msasa.
Msasa. Msasa ni kama msakanyanyiko ya watu wako mahali pamoja wanakusanyika. Sasa msasa ni watu waliokusanyika wakiwa wengi.
Kwa hivyo sisi hapa ni msasa.
Sisi ni msasa.
Haya, tunga sentensi sasa.
Sasa ni kama sasa hivi. Sasa ni saa 10.
Watu wanapenda nyama. Nyama Kiswahili zaitwaje?
Nyama. Nyama.
Kiswahili?
Nyama.
Na Kizungu?
Nyama.
No! Ile pajamas zile unaweza kuzikula vizuri na ugali ama mchele ndio zikwe tamu?
Kunalingana na vile mtu anataka. Unaweza kula na ugali, unaweza kula na mchele. Lakini kwangu naweza kula na ugali.
Na ukwe sawa kabisa.
Na nikuwe sawa kabisa.
Pajamas nzuri ni ile umekula na ugali ama mchele?
Na supu.
Oh, supu.
Na supu.
Inashuka vizuri.
Kabisa.
What makes Joram GM Academy an exceptional school to enroll your child?
My name is Jonathan Imanzi and I'm a student in Joram GM Academy. I'm in Form 3. I participate in basketball, but we also have football, volleyball, table tennis and also swimming. Apart from that, we also have some clubs which help the student to break the monotony of being in class for a long time. Such clubs include Rotaract, Debate Club, Dancing and Music, Scouts, and you are most welcome to join our school.
Take a chance and lend a hand in molding your child's future here at Joram GM Academy. For further details, you can reach out to us through 0722 319 396 or 0700 436 050 or pay us a visit along Gong Kiserian Road. Joram GM Academy, equipping for service.
Welcome to Joram GM Academy.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Welcome back to the Mid-Morning Pack. Thank you so much for continuing to be with us. We are unpacking this major and weighty issue in the country today. That is the protests that have been ongoing, and they are taking quite an ugly direction. And Kenyans are calling for sobriety amid this particular protest. And people and the entire nation want to see consensus, some sort of agreement between the protagonists so that at least Kenyans can have a conducive environment to continue with their day-to-day activities. On the set, we are having Engineer Victor Ngate, a political analyst, a governance analyst, helping us to unpack this particular issue. And we are also welcoming your opinions on this particular matter. 23814, our shortcut platform, and also on our social media pages. That is MBCI TV for Facebook and MBCI TV official for YouTube. You can catch us live. Drop a comment or two. Engineer, you are talking about
whether we need this protest or not. And I was just trying to explain that, you know, they're enshrined in the Constitution. Sure. So number one, there is always a reason. You just don't go. But if today, Bonamangicho, you wanted to protest about the color of your tie, and you thought your tie is not the best red that you got, and you wanted to protest on the road, nobody should arrest you. You don't need to go and tell the police in Nakuru that I will be protesting on Monday about my tie, because I thought it should have been gray, not red. So you'll go on the road and you say whatever you want to say. I mean, it's you. You're protesting. And whatever you want to communicate, you communicate. And if you get answers, fine. In this case, we do not need permission, which we talked about. So we go ahead, we've notified, because that's all we're supposed to do, notify. Once you notify, then it's upon the police to ensure that you have your what do you call it, your mandamano or peaceful on the road, and they secure other businesses.
And at that point, Engineer, that is what the police have said, that is what the government has said, that these protests have been banned because they are not peaceful.
Number one, they have no authority to say whether they will be peaceful or not. Because the purpose of me protesting, or the reason behind me protesting, is something that is oppressing me. So allow me to do that. Now, your business...
Even if it is not peaceful?
Yes. It is not his business to preempt that it will not be peaceful.
And they're not just saying they're preempting, they're saying that they have intelligence.
In essence, they're basically telling us they will be not peaceful. They are preempting.
Because of the intelligence that they have.
Well, it's a smart way of going around it. But listen, if you have the intelligence, they will not be peaceful. Then take care of the areas that they do that you're bound, because the intelligence is telling you Mangicho is the one who will be at that corner. Go take care of Mangicho. You know, if you have intelligence that has confirmed that there is a team that is being organized, why aren't you not taking action? You know. So first of all, let's agree. The people are on the road and they are basically peacefully demonstrating and giving and airing their grievances. Yes, and they want to deliver a document because they're saying they have a petition. So all you need to do is allow them and escort them to where they want to deliver the petition. But if you are very keen to observe exactly what was happening on the ground when Baba was on the ground on that day, anywhere this mass was very peaceful, and they walked comfortably, laughing and making joy, whatever. They were making merry on whatever they were going, you know. But anytime there was an officer who appeared, the first thing they did was hit with the tear gas. You tell me what you expect from a mass of people who are not even throwing stones, because they always indicate to us, it's like these people walk into town and they start throwing stones. They don't. If you look at the fracas and the chaos that happened on that day, they happened in the presence of the police. They happened when the masses were not together. If you see what I mean. So let's not criminalize a mandamano that is peaceful and it is live on TV. We are seeing what is happening. Kenyans saw what was happening on TV. It was live. We saw the government try to bar the media from airing. For what reason?
But Engineer, we also saw some form of looting by the protesters, which is evidence enough that from the word go, okay, that there are people who are not going to be peaceful in the protests, and maybe that is why the police...
I'm not denying that. I mean, you tell me how many people you saw on TV, for example, on the day. If you are talking of 1,000 people on the road, how many people out of the 1,000 were involved in the looting? 5? which is negligible in terms of the number of people who are, those are the criminal elements who will take advantage of any situation. They are bound to be there, and that's why the notification is given to the police. Now, if you come and tell me that they have intelligence that those criminal elements will be there, is a no-brainer. They will be there. Because there are people who are suffering, and there are many other reasons as to why those people are jobless. There are many other reasons as to why those people slept hungry. You know? So those will be there. So don't tell me that that is the reason that they are stopping Maandamano, this peaceful Maandamano. It will always happen. There's no Maandamano that never failed to have one element.
Yes, engineer, there's one thing that maybe you can clarify regarding to what you're saying, petitioning those in authority.
Yes.
And one of the areas those who are planning for demonstrations want to petition is President himself at State House.
Yes.
And we're talking about people are going for peaceful demonstrations to talk to the President, you know, to give their views to the President, which I think is the reason why people protest, to go to those in administration and give their petitions. But again, I feel like the Azimio have a double speak in terms of going to see the President in State House. Number one, they want to go and petition the President, like what Omondi is doing, going to the State House to see the President with CV. Azimio want the same. But if you hear the likes of Mother Karua in terms of their agenda, Karua is so inclined to removing the President from the State House than petitioning the President. So you wonder, where is Azimio? Does Azimio want to petition the President, or does it want to dethrone the President from State House? Because, you know, when you mention in a public rally that Ruto must go, you know, we must remove Ruto from the office because of mismanaging the country. Now, do you think the security agents are going to sit and wait for you to go there? Because already you have declared your other interest. Yeah.
I think we need also to remember, this is a political move, all right? And because the first instance that was given and the first request that was given by Azimio was not for Ruto to get out of office. They only asked for the server to be opened. And if you understand what the context, or if you understand the context of open the servers.
And is the President responsible for that?
Whether he is or not, who is?
The ABC.
Fine, can they open the server? Because he's not the President now. Why are they not opening, all right? And you see, this question of legitimizing...
And at the moment you don't have a functional IBC.
It doesn't matter. I mean, he's not the one who's in charge of IT. All we need is the audit. I mean, the forensic audits are not going to be done by, even if Chebukati was there, it's not Chebukati who's going to do it. It's just that we just need to come to an agreement. And I said, we need to agree first of all, this is a political process, all right? Okay. So as political as it gets, we must get to an agreement. And this agreement will be on the party of interest. We have Azimio, we have Kenya Kwanza, and any other individuals or any other teams that participated in that. Okay? So if it is political and they're asking for the server to be open, this server is not necessarily going to say that Baba is the president. And neither is it supposed to say Jakoya is the president. It will only give us the true position. So if the true position is that the president, Ruto, is the one who won, is the case closed or not? It will be closed, yes?
So, engineer, you think from where you sit that that is something that is possible?
Listen.
To be done, the server to be opened? Because I've heard that there was agreement with the, is it the companies that are responsible for that? And both camps, the Kenya Kwanza and also the opposition, agreed to it, that the company is not, cannot open the servers.
I mean, that is one thing. We cannot say that the computer is here to run, so we cannot ever get any information from the computer because you've shut it down. I mean, it is not the computer running us. It is us running the computer, all right? So this server is a computer. This computer does not play with these figures. This computer is only giving us what it was fed, okay? All this Azimio is asking for is just an audit. that out of the 240, how many, whatever do we have?
270.
How many sub-counties do we have? 290?
Constituencies.
289, yeah, constituencies, or 290, yeah? If there were 290 uploaded, for example, those are the ones we want to verify. They were 291. But was there anything that was downloaded and then re-uploaded?
Will you continue with that?
So that is part of what is making it the presidency of Bonaruto like very difficult to legitimize it. Because they're scared of maybe something will come out.
You'll pick up on that particular point, engineer, because again, somebody will argue that this is a subject that the Supreme Court brought to a closure. So at what particular point, and if this is what maybe the opposition wants, is it also, can it also be undertaken through the legal way? Is it something that again, maybe they can subject it to the Supreme Court, or maybe contrary to what maybe they are doing at the moment?
Let's agree first.
I want you to pick on that particular point when we first of all, we want to join our reporter, that is Vincent Kimutai, who, of course, always go to the streets and also get the opinions of Kenyans on what we are discussing. Vincent Kimutai, take us to the streets. Let's get what Kenyans are saying on this particular matter.
Thank you so much, Mangicho and Paul Kagi. And from your discussion, over the past 2 weeks, we have seen the opposition protesting to push the government to implement their demands, including lowering the cost of living in the country. The demonstration have affected businesses and transport in various towns, including the capital city, Nairobi. And here today, we are here to speak with Kenyans to find out their opinions concerning the situation and also their call of sobriety.
Pande yangu, hawa jamaa wawili Raila na Ruto wangekaa chini waongee, wawachane na mambo ya maandamano na mambo ya vita. Juu sisi wananchi ndio tunaumia. Unaona? So wakiweza wakae chini wajadiliane.
Raila anasimama na haki. Juu ile mambo yote inasemekana, mambo ya unga kupanda, chakula kupanda. Yenyewe mimi nimekaa Nakuru zaidi ya 40 years na sijawahi ona jango yenye saisi naona. Saisi hata kulipa nyumba ya wenyewe ni ngumu. Hapa nilikuwa na wafanyikazi 3, saisi sina mmoja, siwezi hata nikaweza kulipa hata mmoja. Kulipa nyumba ya wenyewe ni shida. Kenya iko na shida. Kwa hivyo hata mimi ningeomba hata kama ni Ruto, hata yeye anyenyekee. Juu hata Raila, hata yeye ni Mkenya, wakae chini waongee. Juu hii dunia, hii Kenya ni yetu. Na hatutaki watoto wetu walale njaa, watoto wetu wakose kusoma juu ya kukosa kuelewana. Tunajua hao wote ni dume, lakini hata kama wao ni madume, wakae chini waongee, wasikizane, na tunaomba tuangaliliwe mambo ya unga na mambo ya mapato.
Yes, kwa majina naitwa Daniel Meluya. Mimi ni mkaji hapa Nakuru. Na ningependa sana huyu rais wetu Ruto na huyu kiongozi wa Azimio ambaye ni Raila Odinga aweze kwamba wakae chini wasungumuze hii maneno, kwa kuwa watoto wetu ndio wanahangaika. Kwa kuwa kazi hakuna, chakula na imepanda. Hata sasa ukienda kwenye supermarket, hata unga ni bei kali sana. Tunaomba tupunguziwe chakula.
Iendelee sana tena zaidi. Hata ijaendelea vizuri venye tulikuwa tuna expect. Ikuwa inaendelea vizuri sana. Ndio kwa sababu ndio maana baba Raila ako hapo. Ndio aweze kupingana na hii serikali, kwa sababu serikali haifevi mwananchi wa kawaida. Ukiuliza mtu kama vice president, hata hakuwa anajua kwenye kerosene inapatikana, anasema inapatikana kwa supermarket. Huyo si mtu wa Hustler Nation, hata kama wanajitanisha na Hustler Nation. So si tunataka maandamano iendelee na izidi tena. Hata baba akinisikia izidi zaidi. Kulikuwa na communication before. Na watu wakajaribu, serikali ikajaribu kuplead. Na kumbe wacha nikupe example na boma marriage. Hakuna vile bwana leo atakupiga kofi, kesho akupige mgongo, siku hiyo nyingine akutupe nje na bado ukuwe na kuvumilia. Ruto amekuja kutupiga kwa kila njia. Anapandisha stima, kesho amepandisha unga, siku nyingine amepandisha kitu kingine. Lazima tukae, gas iko juu, lazima tukae, anatupiga right, left and center. So tukaona hata kuongea haiwezi, ni maandamano mbele. Wenye wanaadhirika waadhirike, kwa sababu hata sisi tumeadhirika kichakula na kitu ingine yote.
According to this strike, sioni kama inasaidia. Juu hata si hapa kwa kazi ya barabara si poa, tuko chini kiasi. Juu sasa hiyo strike, bei ya vitu imeenda juu sana. So unapata hata abiria kama kwa gari hafiki pia ile bei, unaelewa? Abiria pia na bargain. So me what I can suggest, these leaders at least will come together to get a good solution so that things to be on average, so that hata ordinary mwananchi anaweza manage this life.
Sasa naona achane na maandamano ndio Ruto aweze kujipanga na serikali iweze kufanya kazi vizuri. Ndio sisi wakiendelea hivi na maandamano, sisi ndio tunaumia. Sisi raia ndio tunaumia. Juu unaona mpaka kama Nairobi wanaenda kazi inafungwa, unakuta hakuna kazi inaendelea. Haya hata huku kwetu unakuta hata hakuna kazi inaendelea. Ndio hii maandamano. Kwa hivyo mimi kenye ningewaomba ni waachane na maandamano, juu kura ilipigwa na nani akashinda, wangoje sasa 2027.
Tungesema sisi hatukupenda maandamano ikue ya kuleta kifo ama hasara. Tulikuwa tunataka maandamano ikue peaceful, ndio hali ya maisha irudi normal. Tunaomba tu president wetu aangalie upande wa chakula, prices za vitu ziweze kurudi chini, a control price irudi chini. Tungeomba president wetu William Ruto, former prime minister Raila Amolo Odinga, wakutane, waketi chini, waongee, wasikizane. Na ndio maana na sisi tuache kuadhirika.
Mangicho Mola and Paul Kage, those are the opinions of Kenyans, and their call is peace, and the government and the opposition to agree in appropriate way to end the protest in the country. We have also seen the religious leaders and the stakeholders in the recent day expressing their need for settlements to be reached to allow the normalcy to return in the country. Reporting for MBCI TV Mid-Morning Park, my name is Vincent Kimutai.
Thank you so much, our reporter there, Vincent Kimutai, in the streets, just getting the opinions of Kenyans on this particular matter. I know, Engineer, we were discussing about the issue of why is it that the opposition should not take the route of going or finding out about this particular matter from the Supreme Court, as opposed to maybe to going to the protest. That is the issue. But just before we got into that, Kenyans have reacted. And
I mean, you can tell. So angry. You can tell there is anger. And one thing about this country, we have failed completely.
But it is too early. This is just a government that has been there only for 6 months.
Makes sense. It's too early. But the signs are out that things are not right, my friend. We have 51 CSs already who've taken offices, while the court said stop. I mean, the appointment happened against what the Kenyans were expecting. Remember?
They're there to improve the services.
The president is the one who failed himself. From the word go, he said, mimi ni mtu wa hasla. Bei rudini. Bei rudi chini. Unga irudini. He said all
that. Is what he is.
Watoto wasome bure. Kweli. He said all that.
He's in the process.
No,
remember, he did away with the subsidies.
I agreed.
Yes.
Remember, he's the one who said, unga ifanye nini? Irudi chini. Did he forget the challenges this country is facing in production of that maize? That he has come to the realization now that he's in office. He was there since the first scandal. So he's aware. So saying and telling the hustlers, unga irudi chini, serikali ni Kenya kwanza. Shule, bei irudi chini, serikali ni gani? So he set himself up. So the expectation from what you've heard from our gentlemen on the streets is that people are expecting the flour to come down. They were expecting that the school fees will be down. They were expecting that the fuel will come down. So it is not us who are pushing the president in the wrong way. But he set himself up.
But engineer, as you're saying that he set himself up, according to the way you look at the situation, you are aware that we are getting difficulties from getting maize, even from our supplies from other countries like South Africa. They are saying they cannot be able to sell any other maize from outside other countries. Do you think, even though he had promised that he is going to lower the price of maize, as per the situation right now and the global economic crisis, do you think we need to blame him any longer?
Well, it's not about blaming. It's taking responsibility. I've just given you a scenario. He promised that he'll lower. The question you're asking me now, he has been in politics longer than I have. So whatever you've asked in regard to what is happening in the world, he was very privy to it. Right? And since he told the Kenyans this is what he will do, the first thing he does the moment he gets to that office is what you just said. He got rid of what? Subsidies. So you tell me if that is not a red sign to tell me things are going to get worse. His economic advisor tells us not to expect anything sooner to get better. So this is the person you're telling me I should give more time and trust him that things will get better. It is open. It's for you to think about. So if the signs are out there and the questions are brought on the table, if he so thought getting rid of the subsidy would help Kenyans, or is not helping Kenyans, then I'm sure he had a better idea. So why has he not implemented the better idea? Because if I were him, maybe I would have retained that particular subsidy as I sought the next solution. But he put the people at the very end, the people who believed in him as the chief hustler. He actually said, Serikali ya mama na mboga, mama mboga. I mean, if you look at the appointments...
And remember, engineer, they are on record saying they inherited humongous problems.
Thank you, and that's why they need to employ more people.
That is what they are dealing with at the moment.
So I was just responding to that aspect, Paul, that the signs are out that things are going to get worse. You do not tell me you inherited a negative bank or account, while as far as you're concerned, you need 2 billion, was it 2 billion or 1.1 billion for your cars. Really? Is that leadership? Are you telling me there are no cars in that office that were operating? And you tell me there is no money? And then you tell me you're removing subsidies so that the economy can get better? And then you bring 51 CS and you actually go ahead and appoint and send them to their offices. Even when the court says no. The signs are out that what is coming is not just the sunlight. This is a train that is coming. And the worst is about to happen. So this Maandamano is highlighting these issues because we have been shown all these things. We can see where we're heading. And the Maandamano is peaceful. Let them not cheat us that the Maandamano is not cheap. For example, you brought the issue of Eric Omondi.
Yeah.
Was it yesterday or the day before yesterday?
Yesterday.
Eric Omondi, some time back, he told us that he told the Kenyans, youth, kujeni na ma-CV, na risiti ya rent na ya nini na ya chakula, bring. He was alone. On the highway, na mkutani yake ya CV. Now you tell me, what was wrong with what Eric Omondi did? Why was he arrested? Now, if you're not seeing this as a red sign, as a red flag, then you're not okay somewhere.
But can we open up an environment so that
any
Kenyan...
No, Eric was on the road
to settle
wherever he was going.
That is
he has the right. You cannot preempt a criminal offense. You cannot preempt. So this guy has actually stated, I'm only delivering what?
Yes.
The CVs. So why didn't he get a contingent of soldiers to protect where he was going, but receive this on behalf? We should have gotten the regional commissioner of Nairobi there. Why didn't he receive on behalf? Why arrest this young man who's standing up and telling people this is not political? He's just saying that, and he's on the highway in Mkokoteni. Or is it illegal to run Mkokoteni on these highways today from yesterday? What are we communicating to our hustlers?
So does it mean, engineer, that the government is aware that things are not right, it is not doing the right thing, and therefore trying as much as possible to block those who want to ensure that things are done right?
I cannot add any word on what you said. Confirmed. The government is aware that things are not right. The government has a problem with legitimizing its presence in running this country. That is the whole problem. That is why they're even scared of the server. This server business is for Kenyans to confirm that is true. if this server confirmed Ruto as the president,
Yeah,
this is guarantee in 2027, it will guarantee us as the next president.
Actually, we ought to talk about that particular issue because we know that the issue of 2020 election was brought to a closure by the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Now, this issue is now arising again. Is this an issue that again can be taken to the Supreme Court?
To be very honest, I don't see
this is just
that.
a political matter.
You know, what is justice? What is justice? If you take me to a court of law and you want justice, for example, God forbid, if there is a bad offense that I've done, and you take me to court and the court jails me for 4 years, or God forbid, I pray it doesn't happen, jails me for a whole year. Do you get justice? Do you feel like that is justice to you? You lost a TV. Now that I've been jailed for 3 months, do you get justice? We need also to analyze and see, and I can tell that question is not really, you're not sure of what to answer, because for sure, it's not justice. I mean, you've just gotten somebody arrested, he stole, but you didn't get your TV back. So did you get justice? The same thing here. Azimio went to the Supreme Court. They got the ruling. And to be very honest, they are good. We are good abiding Kenyans.
And by the way, the server was opened.
No, that's your thinking. That's your thinking. That's your thinking.
It wasn't.
It wasn't opened. Whatever
was opened?
Listen, to be very honest, this issue is very emotive. Because the person who took this case to the Supreme Court agreed with the outcome because that is the Constitution. And said, we agree. But I'm not satisfied. So if the ruling says, I did not steal your TV, and you saw me, will you say not to it? And it's a final court. It has said I didn't steal your TV. You will say, okay, the court ruled he didn't. But since you saw me, you will say what? You're not satisfied. Fact. So if Azimio states that they were not satisfied, why do you have a problem with that point? It should be anything wrong. It is their right.
So they were not satisfied, and now...
So now they actually go back to the people who own the Constitution. And they're now saying, guys, we know what the Supreme Court ruled. And we did not go against it. We agreed with what they ruled.
On that point, Mangicho, if today something happens and those who are in charge decides to open the server, and maybe the reports in the server shows contrary, that means it shows that the president didn't have enough votes. What could be done?
I think don't start with that, with the end. Start with the beginning and say, if the server confirmed that President Ruto got the votes that he says he got, 8 million, what would happen? It would actually tell us we have a system that is perfect, yes? It will ensure that the people now have faith and trust in IEBC. Because we fought IEBC, but the server has confirmed what IEBC said. So we'll have more trust and more faith in whatever IEBC gives us. True? Now let's go to your question. And that will also legitimize the presidency of President Ruto.
Yeah.
Fact? Fact? I'm
listening.
Now let's go to the next point. So now, when the server is open and it shows contrary, we will be sure that come 2027, this cannot be the server we shall use. So the country will be in a safer position come 2027. True? Number two, we will know that Ruto was not elected. And there are people who actually played the game to ensure that he's named as a president. And people will be held to account. But when we say that whatever happened, happened, so we leave it at that, and that's it. So what are we saying about 2027? We must, in the same breath that we challenge the people who are not taking care of the floods, the people who are not ensuring that the ghost workers are brought to book, we must use the same breath and say, we cannot wait for another fire in 2027. We must have a proper system in place. We must have a proper team in place. And we must have Kenyans believing and trusting in the outcome come 2027. Otherwise, What will stop a repeat of what we've seen for the last 20 years happening in 2027?
Yeah, but also can you confirm that the journey has been progressive, positively progressive in terms of our election process?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And I love the fact that they put it almost real time, that we can upload and we can confirm that it is there. Only that somehow something just I can't explain that we could not capture that. I think now these forensic audits would ensure that these gaps that we had in 2022 are not there come 2027. And we must agree, the opening of the server is not for any other person's benefit but Kenyans. And I think I've put it very clear why it is important to have the servers opened so that we clear any doubts.
But surely, engineer, that is something that is not feasible. It doesn't look practical at the moment.
Well, it doesn't look practical because...
And I know you believe that.
No, I don't believe that. You believe that. Because you see, the practicality of anything depends on the people who want to have it done. If today we want...
who don't also.
For example, let's talk of
Because
MBCI. For example,
this
MBCI.
Just bring us into confrontation.
Let's talk of MBCI. No. So why are you fearing confrontation? Because you want us to cover...
But we are a country under the rule of law.
I like that. You just put those words clearly, and that's what many Kenyans are lost in. We are scared of confrontation. We are scared that we are losing money. We are scared we are losing property. But are you ready to procrastinate the loss to 2027? Because if you look at where we've come from, because the reason we have so many changes in whatever we have in the electoral system is because of what happened in 2007, if you remember very well. That is what gave birth to all these changes, that we were almost in a perfect position until Kenyans became smarter as always. And now we are playing with the system. So if it called for us to change that system afresh and ensure that every party is involved, so be it. And that's why there's another red flag that we need to check. The government is insinuating that they are now constituting another panel of IEBC by themselves. Now, who are the most, which are the parties that should be involved in constituting that team? And that is a legitimate call by the opposition, Azimio, that the government should stop that process, so that every stakeholder is involved for us to come up with a team.
Yes, Mangicho, regarding the same thing, the IEBC scenario, or maybe the servers, it has been a journey, and we have at least moved some strides.
Agreed. Agreed.
But don't you think also, as we are trying to sort out the issue of the server, the president opened the server, the IEBC, because it might be difficult to do that, as we are trying to push the government to act on that, don't you think, Azimio, because it has some sizable numbers in parliament, they can be able to come up with a way to be able to strengthen that institution, the IEBC, through the parliament, away from the panel to select the commissioners? We have another avenue whereby you can be able to constitute more laws and strengthen laws to govern IEBC in terms of election management. Yeah. Can we use the parliament?
I think
to have a consensus in parliament?
In our last discussion, I think it was me and you here, Paul, I actually talked about democracy. And this democracy allows people to elect their leaders. And since we know how to circumvent democracy now, we can play with the numbers in parliament by that process. Okay? So if at the end of the day we get Paul Kagi with a team of 100 and Mangicho has a team of 40, it means Paul Kagi will always have his way. Okay? Now, over and above that, we resource Paul Kagi more, and we don't resource Mangicho. So Paul Kagi has a possibility of mobilizing Mangicho's team to his side so that they can even get more power in passing whatever they want.
Okay.
For example, we know that it is not in law that the CAS are now in office. Okay? But Paul has gone ahead and brought these people in office. Now, when you ask Mangicho, why is Mangicho not using the parliament to ensure that Paul does not take the CS people in office, appointees in office, are you seeing how it is defeatist? I can't. Mangicho can't do anything. It's the same scenario happening in this country. We have mobilized, and there is another call that Azimio has put to the executive or to President Ruto. And they've asked him that he needs to stop muzzling the Azimio or the opposition team. Because in the moment you just keep sweeping the opposition, while you're the same person who told us you want a strong opposition. But every day we are seeing you getting these people out of opposition. We all know how they are done, how they are moved from one side to the other. We no need to discuss that. But if that is something that he's doing, is he doing that for the good of this country against his own word? Or is something, what is it? I don't know what words to put it. You get? So already you can tell we would want to do it in Parliament. But there is what is happening in Parliament. But that is not to say there are no efforts in whatever way in Parliament and initiatives being done by the opposition to try and deal with that. They're there. But these protests that we have currently are actually giving even President Ruto a platform to legitimize his presidency, number one. Number two, a platform for him to bring his wisdom on the table and address the Kenyan issues, as opposed to this bravado, I'm stronger than you, who's the head here. That fight is not helping us. It is an opportunity for him to come on board. There are a number of things he has, because all we are hearing is what Azimio wants. What Azimio wants is, we want IBC issue, we want economic recovery, we want subsidies, we want fuel prices to come down, we want you to stop appointing these people on tribal lines. These are requests put by Azimio. What is the government putting on the table? While we all know they had the best, what do you call it, this document that politicians have, telling people what they'll do for them, Manifesto. They had the best manifesto. So why aren't they choosing what to put on the table? Now this, again, another thing I would want us to address. This dialogue should not be looked at, because the only way the government is trying to look at it is a handshake on Nusumkati. Azimio is very clear. Azimio is not looking for Nusumkati, without a doubt. It is very clear. The issues that have been raised is that there are issues to be addressed in this country. All we are asking... So we are not necessarily, from what you're saying, we do not necessarily need a situation whereby we shall see the president and the opposition chief, that is Raila Odinga, coming together. No, the issue is not... No, we can shake hands, Mangicho. We can agree that going forward, I'll be coming here at 6 to air out my issues under Azimio. But that is not to mean that I will be listening to you now as to what you tell me. Because even from the opinions we have from Kenyans, is like for this protest to stop, for us maybe to have some sort of peace, is for the president and Raila. It's because that is what people have been fed. That these people just need to sit and talk and agree that this guy will get a salary going forward. That's not the issue. The issues on the table are heavier than Raila himself. For example, if Raila is not there today, and the same thing is repeated in 2027, will there be peace? Definitely not. So that issue must be addressed, not for Raila, not for Ruto, but for Kenya. And Kenyans must realize that whatever is being discussed here is not individual interests. But we are talking about the outcome of that IEBC discussion. What came out of it? Did we get a good team? Is everybody comfortable with the team that is there? Now, if they are, then we go to an election. But you cannot single-handedly decide these are the people to become, and then we'll go to an election. You're automatically telling people, I will win again. It's not once or twice you've heard him say, 2027, nitanyorosha. How sure are you? What makes you so sure? I mean, these are signs. They're red flags. But only those people who are keen to see will see that this is a red flag. No, he's just saying that he thinks he's smarter than the opposition. Well, you can be smarter, but can you follow the law? In the way that maybe he's campaigning. Let him follow the law. Let him campaign. He's good in campaigning, I'm not refusing. But why are we now ensuring that we don't follow the law for the sake of 2027 winning and Kunyoroshana? I mean, it's very simple. We follow the law.
And you cannot take President's words lightly. You know, last time he said that I told this man that I'm going to whip him early in the morning, and whatever means. So when I hear him warning that you won't even get an agent during the election, I'm worried.
Really? That's some serious utterances.
You cannot take him lightly.
So, engineer,
Yes.
so as we speak today, because it's like now the government is adamant that it is not going to allow this protest to continue.
I can tell you the government will finally sit on the table.
But
I will tell you that.
After people have died, engineer?
Listen.
After property has been destroyed?
Listen. When you say property have been destroyed by who?
By the protesters.
You need to be very careful, because what you're running is a narrative by the police service.
No.
The protesters, for example,
but
you covered Nakuru the other day. What was the destruction in Nakuru?
We're talking about the capital city.
I'm just trying to give you an example before you go to the capital city. We had protesters in Nakuru here. What was the destruction that you covered? Was there any?
No.
Why were the people arrested?
And they were peaceful.
So why were they arrested? So it actually confirms that the people who are introducing destruction are the police themselves. Because if that day they chose to let us just walk to the PC's gate, tungebomoa gate ya PC? No. Tungefungulia, tungempelekea karatasi. We are not armed. We are only carrying an envelope and placard saying that we want unga iteremke chini. So when you say property destruction, and that is a narrative being run so that the people only think of the destruction that is going to come from Protestants. No, the protesters are not bringing destruction. They are walking and stating what they want. Number two, when the police look at me, and I like what the media is doing, you saw a full senator walking from his office going to KICC. And you know that is one compound, being tear gassed. Now, you explain to me, and when he followed this gentleman, the gentleman walked away. But he gave the orders, chapa tear gas. What was that guy doing? Destroy. What was he destroying within the pretext of KICC and his office? So these are indications that the police is being put in a very awkward position. You know, so they are actually outrightly denying us our right, and with a lot of impunity going live on air and stating that they have banned maandamano. Okay, I don't know what we are reading from. Are we reading from the same constitution, truly? Is he showing us incompetence? Because really, if he cannot translate a constitution in such an office, then I think he's in the wrong office. They are particular, for sure, they would want us to follow some procedure. Come and tell me you didn't follow the procedure. But if a letter was given to you a whole month before the day, what other procedure was to be followed? You know? And those are things that Kenyans need to be very careful about. When the signs are out, please stand up for yourself, speak out, and let them know.
So like you said, finally, you think the government will give in to this demand?
Okay, will not give in.
This protest
will not give in. The government will finally sit and listen. Because all they're doing is refusing to listen. What is the purpose of a government? If not to listen to its people. The people who are making noise are not that Ugandans who've come to Kenya to make noise on the streets of Nairobi. These are Kenyans. So if a government should listen to its people, the people are just asking for the government's ear. If the government today said, okay, fine, give us, what are your issues? The country will come to an end, or the world will come to an end. The issues will be tabled. And not once or twice that Ababa has gone on TV and said, these are our issues. He keeps on reading. These are our issues. These are our issues. So is the other side afraid of the issues?
Don't you think the government is going to portray itself as an incredible government, or to shame itself for submitting to the demands of the opposition?
Not necessarily. You didn't have, you're not submitting. Because really, they had the choice of saying yes or no from the word go, and they chose no. So are you saying I have no right for my government to listen to me? So I will push you and you listen. Like your kid, when the kid comes to you and says, Baba, nimefukuzwa school fees. If you don't listen, atenda shule kesho ndio, atafukuzwa tena. But finally atafukuzwa until you listen. And then you say, ilikuwa pesa ngapi? It was 1,000. And that issue is solved.
Yeah.
So the government, I know, and there is no other choice. Let me not cheat you. The government has no other choice other than sitting and listening.
But before that,
whatever, and you see, there's this thing of this feeling they have, and the fears are understandable, that out of the 10 issues or 12 issues that the Azimio has brought on the table, that they have to be given guarantee. No. If I come to you, even Kotini, and I tell you, I'm suspecting Paul stole something. So you as a court, as a judge, you have no right to tell me you won't listen. Really. I'm just complaining about an issue. And I'm not saying that you have to give me or guarantee me that you will jail Paul. No, no. All I'm asking, all I'm asking is that you listen. And if you listen and find him wrong, then you know what to do.
Okay.
Make sense? So the government has no choice. They will finally sit and listen. The other thing I will actually say, the government knows what is wrong with this country. We will not pretend that the government is aloof. They know what is ailing this country. Until they sit down and agree to deal with the issues that are bedeviling this country, there's nowhere we're going.
But before that, engineer, you can also, you already can see that the trajectory that the protest has already taken is not pleasing.
Yes.
And if it continues like this, we'll still continue to see. So far, I think 2 lives have been lost following the protest. There are injuries, and like you've said, we've seen destruction of property. Who's going to bear the responsibility for this?
The people who killed bear the responsibility. Who killed? Who killed? When you tell me you shot at a mass of people and you killed 2 people using a live bullet, who takes responsibility? I mean, why are you shooting at them? Is it that they came and they wanted to kill the police force? Or were they on the road trying to protest and you were stopping them?
Or they were on defense?
They're not defending themselves. Listen, to be very honest, it's not that these people are defending themselves. They're just looking for a way to vent out. Whatever is inside, somebody needs to listen. But you opt not to listen. So when they come and they're walking on the road and you brandish your gun, your rifle and your tear gas, and you actually throw it at them, it is not a nice feeling to be given a tear gas. What will you do? And you want to be listened to. So the government will listen. And I'm telling you, finally they will sit and they will talk. But in a nutshell, maybe I'll just say, I like, there's something in this country that we started some time back called the Building Bridges Initiative. And I like the fact that even Kenya Kwanza have shown an affinity to wanting to implement that particular document. And that, from my feeling, is that that will give another platform for President Ruto to, to bring himself to some position of people agreeing with him. It's a platform to legitimize himself. This is what the people wanted. So can you address it? Can you bring it back in whichever way? Now, how do you bring it back? Is by having such a dialogue, all right? This dialogue would introduce something like BBI, for example. The BBI did not necessarily have things that were going against Kenyans. We are not going to have it 100%. Let's have whatever percentage that is in there that we think is now agreeable by both sides, It's just the dialogue. If people don't dialogue, they war. They go into war. And what we are setting is a precedent that if we don't dialogue this time around, then the next time we won't dialogue.
I think, engineer, the issue of having talks is not new in our country, especially regarding to Odinga. And personally, sometimes I feel the government want to have a talk with Odinga and his team, but looking at the history and his trend since Moi's time, Kibaki's time, Uhuru's time, there is always a card under his table. And I think that is why the government's a bit having some reservations with having those talks, because they feel Odinga might be having another card. Beyond talking and bringing these issues under control, he must be having another card. not necessarily to join the government, like Kibaki's time. You see, like the last regime, he was not rightly in government, but he had an upper hand in government. He had a lot of influence in the government. And I feel that is what these guys are fearing.
And as we connect to that point, because we're also coming to wrap up this particular conversation, because there are those who are also arguing that if this government won this particular election, and that is what we know at the moment, of course, notwithstanding the claims from the opposition. And the government feels that it is being blackmailed, yet it won this particular election legitimately and validly, even being supported by the ruling from the Supreme Court. So one would, or maybe those who are critics of the opposition would wonder, then why do we go to elections if those who have won cannot be given an opportunity to win? I mean, to rule without necessarily bringing in those who lost.
I think it's just a failure of understanding of why we're in this position today. You only need to understand that we have a big percentage of Kenyans have a problem with the outcome or the results given by the IEBC. Whether there was a court ruling or not, there's a big percentage of Kenyans that believe that system gave us a wrong report. Okay?
This is a system which every Kenyan
had
an access to.
No, we didn't have access. You know, we could see. But if there are questions that are being put to you about that system, the best you can do is just verify that there is no doubt in that line. Okay? And if you do that, you're only confirming that this system will be there even in 2027 because it actually gave the results that were correct. You, on the other hand, failing or fearing to come through with that verification confirms to me, who's already in doubt, that it's true. I have a point. And that's why he's scared of opening it up. You get? So this forensic audit should be done. There is no two way about it. Otherwise, 2027 will be another chaos. Which will be the system that which system will we use? And I hope you understand why I'm saying the government will finally come on the table. Because as we draw closer to 2027, these questions will still be on the table. So the sooner we solve them, the better.
Okay.
Because that means the team that comes in to IEBC will now have a proper structure of what they are dealing with and what they need to provide. Okay. The longer, and if this wisdom fails, that we do not sit sooner, it means that we are setting ourselves up for another set of chaos. The other thing I wanted to talk about is Kenyans should realize that silence is not working positively for them. Compromising and agreeing because it happened and we should forget the sins that happened does not in any way make things better for them. For example, and what I mean is this, if we do not raise our questions and voice against these vices that we are seeing in government, we are automatically setting ourselves to more corruption, for example. If we don't speak, if we don't push the government and ask the government to address these particular issues. The government and the president was live yesterday in Germany saying that we shall not have a country that does not respect the rule of law. Okay? But you cannot speak that way in Germany while back home your people are not observing the rule of law. That's double speak. So automatically we don't believe in you now because you are saying this while you're doing this. So people must speak out and realize if they don't speak, we are setting ourselves up to more corruption. We are setting ourselves up to another failed election. We are setting ourselves up to another set of impunity. Because you've seen the level of impunity in government today.
Good.
Let me just quickly just give you a...
in 30 seconds, engineer.
On Sunday, MP, Mr. Ishungwa, Honorable Ishungwa, was captured, putting it very clear and loud that, they will go for Uhuru Kenyatta's property. I think it was in church and live on TV. And he said We will do that, and then after that, we shall go for your land, I think, in Taita Taveta.
Then in Nakuru?
Then come to Nakuru, and then I don't know where. Then immediately, on Monday, we have people that have that actually break into the same Northlands that Mr. Ishum was talking about. I like the fact that he's come out to defend and say he did not.
He said there is no correlation.
Which is okay. We are Kenyans, and we were told, Wajinga walisha wapi? Wajinga walisha wapi? Wajinga walisha Kenya. So we automatically know exactly what happened. A few months ago, we also had the DP talk about that watu walio na mashamba ya maumau wapeane hata kama ni nusu. I mean, it is there. And I love this technology of today. Internet never forgets.
Good.
So when these things play, I'm just telling you, the red flags are all over people.
Yes.
Wacheni kulala. It is there, and you know it's happening, so you can only expect worse. But I love the fact that we should see our president coming back, and I can automatically tell you people, the president will denounce these guys when he comes back, and he will say this thing you are not supposed to have done, you did it very wrong.
Yes.
So who will be a Jesus?
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Do you desire to attain your divine destiny and serve God's purpose for your life? You can do so by your daily devotionals using inspired materials that has been written prayerfully for the benefit of the body of Christ. Apostle John Kimani William has published the 2023 edition of Nuggets of Destiny. In it, you will find an anchor scripture to guide your path as you spend time with God, a brief sermonette to inspire, teach, encourage, counsel, and rebuke you, suggestion for further